The point that this independent expert is looking at the defense attorney, if the defense attorney is on board with believing that Mustafa is guilty, and Mustafa must be guilty. I mean, they never showed him the dash camera. They lied to him about the content of the dash camera. They lied to him about the details of the accident. They crushed and staged this vehicle before they showed this independent expert the vehicle. And then when he got there, they wouldn't let him touch Mustafa's vehicle or touch the Suburban.
They wouldn't let him do his job.
They wouldn't let him do his job. And if it wasn't on Bodycam, you would tell me, what the fuck are you talking about? There is no way. Well, here today I have the Bodycam that Commonwealth Amy Ashworth has been hiding from this community for 2.5 years. And we're going to go over it in details.
So let's get this straight.
I mean, it goes as far as this defense attorney tells the independent expert that Mustafa is guilty twice. In what world does a defense attorney take $50,000 from you only to say that his client is guilty in front of the independent expert?
But that's not what he was telling us.
That's not what he was telling us on the phone.
When we were meeting with him.
When we were talking to him, when we were meeting with him in his office, when we talked to him on the phone, he would tell us, Mustafa's coming home. Your brother is innocent. But then behind closed doors, he's making deals.
I mean, he told us that the officer lied and that he's going to catch him with the element of surprise.
Today,
Isn't that what he said? He said
today, we sit on this podcast, and you don't have to take my word for it. I have the evidence that showed that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. I have the dash camera that shows there is no argument inside the vehicle like the prosecution claimed. I have the dash camera.
I mean, if you didn't have the camera, I would tell you
I have evidence.
That's a big conspiracy.
I mean, this is a car accident. The details that's coming out of this case is this is a car accident, and Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Mustafa was not speeding.
Hold on a second. A car accident, and 2.5 years later, no one inspected the two cars. No one did a reconstruction.
What are they terrified from?
No one inspected the dash camera and the SD card files where they're alleging that there was an argument. No one has done that in 2.5 years.
And for those that will tell me there is no way that the prosecutor said, no, we're not inspecting the vehicle. Well, I have the body cam, and I have what the police officer is going to say to the independent expert and how he's telling him.
Well, the prosecutor was there.
The prosecutor was there.
Christian
Mallet?
Mallet, yeah, Christian Mallet. He was there. That's the prosecutor.
And he says, well, not only he was there, because there's multiple prosecutor in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. There's Christian Mallet and there's prosecutor Sarah Sami. Now, Christian Mallet is there, and he's telling him, you can't inspect the Suburban. You can't touch the Suburban. You cannot touch Mustafa's vehicle. And then investigator Robert Drum, the individual that falsified Mustafa's statement, take it as far as tell the independent expert, prosecutor Sarah Sami said, you cannot touch this vehicle. And then he goes to his lieutenant, investigator Robert Drum, Sean Peake, and he tells him the independent expert is on board. And he's on board for all of it. He doesn't push back. He just lets this police department walk all over him.
So you're supposed to have a non-biased reconstruction of this car accident. And the individual
that's the whole point.
The individual that's doing the accident reconstruction, that's supposed to be non-biased. Okay, this guy is in the middle of a bunch of individuals, Drum, Casey Stevens, Sean Peake, and we see all the officers involved in this case. They're all huddled up around him, and they're trying to convince him that, number one, Mustafa is a goner. This case is an open-shut case. Casey Stevens, who's Mustafa's attorney that took $50,000, is sitting there in this conversation. This is a inappropriate conversation. However you look at it, it's inappropriate. You are the defense attorney, and you're essentially throwing your client under the bus, okay? And you're telling your client that he's going to come home, that there's no evidence that there was an argument. There's no evidence to any of the stuff that the county's making up. Okay?
By the way.
But you're telling Mustafa's independent expert that we paid for, you're trying to convince him not to do the accident reconstruction, that there's no point of it because they're going to convict him anyways.
All he did was
I mean,
take
that's your
pictures.
defense attorney. You know, if you live in Woodbridge, if you're in the Prince William County area, be aware of Casey Stevens. Be aware. He's going to take your money and he's going to hand you to the county on a silver platter. Even if you are innocent, he's going to have you convicted. I mean, I actually, when we were protesting here, no joke, 3 people came up to me and said Casey Stevens was their attorney, and he literally handed the person over to the county.
I mean, I'll tell you what.
He did
today,
not push back on lies.
We're gonna
he did not present the evidence. They had evidence, and he didn't present the evidence. That's what he did in Mustafa's case.
In Mustafa's bond hearing in General District Court. There's an audio that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statement. You have an audio of the conversation. You have the police report that the police officer flat out falsified Mustafa's statement. Robert Drum put in his police report that Mustafa, you told me that you were arguing inside the vehicle. There is an audio to this conversation. Mustafa never said that. And Casey Stevens was supposed to play that audio to the judge. What does he do? He tells you, I'm going to play it. And then in court, he plays the wrong portion that is so irrelevant to the whole entire conversation. Even the judge says, what does this have to do with what you're telling me that this investigator falsified his statements?
I want to go back to Casey Stevens.
Do you see what he's doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, he's working for the prosecution. He's working to protect the police officer.
Look, there's something called NCIC. Okay, those that work in the criminal Justice Department in that field, they know what that is. That's an FBI search. It's a very detailed search of someone's background, okay? There's a search that was done on Mustafa in the discovery, okay? And it shows you his entire driving record. I mean, like nationwide, it shows you everything, okay? The question here is, in August of 2023, Prosecutor Sammy told a judge, okay, in the circuit court during Mustafa's bond hearing, she told a judge that Mustafa had crashed his car previously and gave someone brain injury. She's referring to Jason Nance.
Jason Nance.
Of Stafford, Virginia. Okay? Now Casey Stevens, who has access to Mustafa's NCIC background check, okay? All he had to do is look at the report. If someone is involved in a car accident, it's going to show up on this report. Okay? Now, Mustafa doesn't have any prior accidents, specifically ones with injury, bodily injury, or damage. Okay? All he had to do was show the judge, Your Honor, I have his NCIC report. And there's no accidents in his history. Okay? So for the prosecutor to tell a judge that Mustafa had crashed his car previously, unrelated to this matter, she's telling the judge that Mustafa likes to get in his car, crash the car, and give his passengers brain injury. That's her claim to the judge.
Well, Jason Nance, I have a video. Jason Nance came out.
Casey Stevens never pushed back on it. That's your defense attorney for $50,000. So my point is, if you are in Prince William County, you're looking for a lawyer, be aware of Casey Stevens. And what is it called? Stevens and Caruso?
I mean, Stephen Caruso.
Caruso.
I'll tell you, the judge was so horrified.
Be aware. Be aware. And if you have a mother, keep her away from Casey Stevens because he likes to hit women. Okay, we have a video.
He'll racial profile you.
We have a video of him hitting Mustafa's mother.
In court.
In the courthouse. Okay?
In the sheriff office. And Officer Deputy Peacemaker comes out and she's laughing with him and is racially profiling the mother of Mustafa, the brothers of Mustafa.
So a lawyer attacks a woman. It's on camera. It's on courthouse camera.
She refused to charge him.
And
it's on camera.
The Prince William County Sheriff's Office refused to hold this man accountable for assault and battery. They refuse. Yeah, Amy Ashworth, when she's running for office, she wants to tell this community that she likes to empower women. She stands up for women's rights.
Don't we have a body cam? I mean, yeah, Amy Ashworth prides herself. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth prides herself her whole persona. I mean, she ran
Isn't that
on
her whole campaign? Empowering women, standing up for women's
but
rights?
not the mother of Mustafa Al-Jazari.
But not that woman.
Not that woman.
Not that
I mean,
Muslim woman.
Don't you have a body cam where not only did Deputy Sheriff Peacemaker, which is an extension of Sheriff Glen Hill, which is an extension of the sheriff office.
Peacemaker is sitting there with Casey Stevens after the assault. And he's talking about, what are they, Iraqi, Iranian, and they're both laughing. And they start putting labels on you. They put a label on me. They put a label on my dad, okay, as an Iraqi, Iranian. He's like, I don't know what they were saying, Iraqi, Iranian. And he was saying the same thing in their language. What does that have anything to do with you
what you're
just
watching?
What you just did? You just hit that woman, okay? You just smacked that woman's hands, okay? That's assault, and who gives a fuck what was going on? You put your hands on a woman, okay? For anybody that is looking at this, when someone can't keep their hands to themselves, I don't think they should be out in this community. They should not be in society with other people, because clearly there's something going on in the brain where he can't keep his hands to himself.
Casey Stevens has a history of beating up on women. There isn't his partner in his law firm partner. What's her name?
The Caruso lady.
The Caruso lady.
Lisa.
Lisa. I mean, weren't we in his office when he started berating her and yelling at her and that she was so terrified? I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, that was weird.
That was weird.
It was an awkward moment. We're sitting there talking about Mustafa's case, and then all of a sudden she's trying to leave.
Terrified. She's shaking. She's like, I'm trying to go get my manicures.
And she's like, I'm getting my nails done. It's like, where are you going?
That was weird.
Almost like he's saying, it was almost like, did I tell you you could leave?
Imagine he's doing that in front of us.
I'm not gonna be more than 30 minutes. He's like, well, did I tell you you could leave? I mean, if you can do that in front of your clients,
what goes on behind closed doors?
I'll tell you right now, there's something wrong with you. And
I have a body cam.
I can't imagine what goes on when nobody's looking.
This is the same
when
guy.
Nobody's listening.
This is the same guy that got in a vehicle accident, was drunk, a DUI, fled the scene in 2016. And take a wild guess who the officer that pulled him over, that handled that case in 2016.